Hello guys, what's up? Here we are once again. We are going to do a reading, as you know, as you see in the title, right? We're going to read about cinema, the history of cinema. Alright, so as we're going to read about the history of cinema, we are going to start from a point that is kind of obvious, right? And this point is here: silent cinema. Alright, let me give you a zoom here. Silent cinema. We have a photo here of an actress from this era of silent cinema, right? So silent cinema takes this time here, 1895 to 1930. Okay, let's take a look here. So her name is Annette Benson in the British comedy Shooting Stars. Shooting Stars. Let's see if we find some frame, 1928. Okay, so we have it here. Oh my goodness, what's that all about? What he's doing there? What's going on? Okay, she's in love. She's in love, guys. Oh, she has a bird there too. Okay, like a pigeon, like a white pigeon. Okay. What? This is funny. What? Okay. That's okay. Oops, now we're all black here. Let me just change something. Here, no. It should be kind of, like it should be here. But it's not here. Like that's better for our case. Just like a big screen. Okay, introduction. Geoffrey Noel Smith. This is the name of the author of this book. The book is called The Oxford History of World Cinema by Geoffrey Noel Smith. Let's take a look. The history of the cinema in its first 30 years is one of unprecedented expansion and growth. Beginning as a novelty in a handful of big cities, New York, Paris, London, and Berlin, the new medium quickly found its way across the world, attracting larger and larger audiences wherever it was shown and displacing other forms of entertainment as it did so. As audiences grew, so did the places where films were shown, culminating in the great picture palaces of the 1920s, which rivaled theaters and opera houses for opulence and splendor. Meanwhile, films themselves developed from being short attractions, only a couple of minutes long, to the feature length that has dominated the world screens up to the present day. Okay, so unprecedented, sem precedentes, unprecedented. Let's take a look. What's the meaning exactly? Never having happened or existed in the past. Então, algo que nunca aconteceu antes, right? Algo que nunca aconteceu antes no planeta. Expansion and growth. crescimento, growth. Beginning as a novelty, novidade, in a handful of big cities. Handful, like, what's the meaning actually? An amount of something that can be held in one hand. A quantidade de alguma coisa que pode ser segurada numa mão. Handful. If we, let's open Google Translate here for a second. Let's see, punhado. É o punhado, ok. Of big cities, ok. New medium, novo meio, né? O novo meio de mídia, o novo meio de comunicação, por exemplo. quickly, rapidamente, encontrou, found its way across the world, ao redor do mundo, kind of like that, através do mundo. Ao redor do mundo é melhor você pensar assim, eu acho. Attracting larger and larger, maiores e maiores, cada vez maiores audiences, wherever, onde fosse que fosse, onde quer que fosse, tipo assim, né? It was shown and displaced in other forms of entertainment as it did so. Displace is like botar de lado alguns outros tipos de entretenimento, já que esse ganhou tanta atenção. To force something out of its usual or original position. Então, forçar algo, né, para fora, mandar para fora, tirar ele, no caso, da sua posição original. Other forms of entertainment as it did so, as audiences grew. As audiences grew seria no decorrer que a audiência crescia, conforme o público cresceu. Very good. O Translate realmente é melhor do que eu nesses aspectos. So did the places where moves were shown. Assim também foram os lugares onde os filmes eram mostrados. Shown. Culminating in the great picture palaces. Os palácios dos filmes, né? Tipo, meio que um lugar meio que parece um teatro, né? Tipo uma sala de cinema. Meanwhile, enquanto isso, films themselves, os filmes, né, por eles mesmos, assim, tipo, eles mesmos, se desenvolveram. Então, films themselves developed. Vamos ver aqui. Os próprios filmes desenvolvidos, aqui desenvolveram, tá? Vou pegar isso aqui tudo aqui. From being seria tipo, eles começaram sendo uma coisa e depois foram se tornando outra, né? Enquanto isso, os próprios filmes se desenvolveram a partir de curtas atrações, né? Se desenvolveram por esses de pouca duração, né? Os filmes de pouca duração. Only a couple of minutes long, né? Então only a couple, apenas alguns minutos de duração. To the feature length. Então aqui a duração característica. Feature length. Length. I don't know.
Feature length.
Esse feature aqui tem relação à característica, né? That has dominated the world screens up to the present moment. Although French, German, American and British pioneers have all been credited with the invention of cinema, the British and the Germans played a relatively small role in its worldwide exploitation. It was above all the French, followed by the Americans, who were the most ardent exporters to the new invention, helping to implant the cinema in China, Japan, and Latin America, as well as in Russia. In terms of artistic development, it was again the French and the Americans who took the lead, though in the years preceding the First World War, Italy, Denmark, and Russia also played a part. Então, embora que, French, American, and pioneiros, né, desses países, have all been credited, têm sido todos creditados, né, have all been credited, tipo credited de terem feito algo, né, eles fizeram, with the invention of the cinema. British and Germans played a relatively small role, papel pequeno, relativamente pequeno, in its worldwide exploitation, a exploração aqui no mundo todo, né? Provavelmente sobre divulgação desse meio de comunicação. It was above all, foi acima de tudo, né? Os franceses, the French, followed by the Americans, seguidos pelos americanos, who were the most ardent exporters, mais exportadores ardentes of the new invention, que divulgaram mais, no caso, né? Helping to implant the cinema in China, Japan and Latin America, as well as, assim como, in Russia. In terms of artistic development, de desenvolvimento artístico, it was again the French and the Americans who took the lead, que, né, que lideraram, basicamente, who took the lead. Então aqui, the French and American lideraram esse aspecto da divulgação, né, e propagação desse meio de comunicação. Though, apesar de que, in the years preceding the First World War, então os anos anteriores à Primeira Guerra Mundial, Italy, Denmark and Russia also played a part. Então também, né, fizeram sua parte. Aqui tá meio junto e parece a parte de separado, né? Se a gente for ver assim, a part, vai ter essa ideia de separated by a distance or by time. Só que eu estava lendo esse livro antes e eu vi que quando eu copiei esse trecho, o que eu percebi, o que eu descobri? Eu descobri que eles na verdade estão separados. Então, also played a part também desempenhou um papel. Tá? Então é diferente. Is it true? No, let me just do something here. Oops. I'm just doing it. Hello, just wait a second here. Okay, now it's going on. Now it's happening. Okay. I'm just transmitting here on Twitch now. Just because. So, here. In the end, it was the United States that was to prove decisive. The United States was, and has remained, the largest single market for films. By protecting their own market and pursuing a vigorous export policy, the Americans achieved a dominant position on the world market by the eve of the First World War. During the war, while Europe languished, the American cinema continued to develop, pioneering new techniques as well as consolidating industrial control. In the end, it was the United States that was to prove decisive. Eles que iam provar que esse meio de comunicação ia vingar. Right? The United States was and has remained, e tem permanecido, has remained, the largest single market for movies, né? O maior mercado ali de filmes. By protecting their own market, que é o próprio mercado, né? And pursuing is like perseguindo, indo atrás, right? Pursuing a vigorous export policy. Então, uma política de exportação vigorosa, tudo ao contrário aqui, política de exportação vigorosa. The Americans alcançaram, achieved a dominant position on the world market by the eve of the First World War. Eve, véspera. da Primeira Guerra Mundial. During the war, while Europe languished, então, enquanto while Europe languished, languish seria tipo, se deteriorava no caso, né? Destruindo tudo, né? Na Primeira Guerra Mundial e na Segunda também. To exist in an unpleasant or unwanted situation, often for a long time. Right, so like Europe, oh my god. Europe languished. Definhou. Que palavrinha, hein? Languished. The American cinema continued to develop, desenvolver, pioneering new techniques as well as consolidating industrial control. Então, pioneirando novas técnicas, assim como as well as consolidating industrial control. Alright. Meanwhile, in the United States itself, the center of filmmaking had gravitated westwards to Hollywood, and it was films from the new Hollywood studio.
Let me just check this, please. Just wait a moment, please, sir.
Studio.
Studio. Okay. Hollywood studios that flooded on to the world's film markets in the years after the First World War, and have done so ever since. Faced with the Hollywood onslaught, film industry proved competitive. The Italian industry, which had pioneered the feature film with lavish spectaculars like Quo Vadis 1913 and Cabiria 1914, also collapsed. In Scandinavia, the Swedish cinema had a brief period of glory, notably with the powerful sagas of Victor Sjöström, and the brilliant comedies of Moritz Stiller, before following Denmark into relative obscurity. Even the French cinema found itself in a precarious position. In Europe, only Germany proved industrially resilient, while in the new Soviet Union and in Japan, the development of the cinema took place in conditions of commercial isolation. Meanwhile, enquanto isso, the United States itself, por eles mesmos, né? Para os Estados Unidos por eles mesmos. Deixa eu ver como é que fica isso no Google Translate. Esse itself, né? Nos próprios Estados Unidos. Por eles mesmos ali, né? The center of filmmaking had gravitacionado westwards. Então, mudou o lugar onde eram produzidos os filmes. Começou ali por Nova York e aí depois eles migraram lá para a Califórnia, Los Angeles, Hollywood, né? Então aqui westwards, né, foi para a direção west, que seria tipo oeste, né? Oeste. E aí a gente tem o east, que seria leste, beleza? Então, and it was films from the new Hollywood studios that flooded, nesse caso aqui, não, flood é tipo uma enchente, né? E também é carregado de coisa. To flood the comments, por exemplo, né? Flood os comentários, mandar muita mensagem, né? Então aqui eles produziram muito e estavam ali mandando pro mundo todo os filmes deles, né? Então eles carregaram, eles fizeram uma enchente de filmes pro mundo inteiro. Todo mundo estava vendo os filmes deles, né? Então aqui Hollywood studios that flooded on to the world's film markets in the years after the First World War. Então depois, né? Depois da Primeira Guerra Mundial. começou a carregar, ter muito filme americano por aí, né? And have done so ever since. E tem feito isso desde então. Ever since, desde então. Ever since. Ever since. Let's take a look here just to confirm it. Done. Did I? Done so. Done so. And they have done so ever since. Faced with the Hollywood onslaught, I don't know what's the meaning of this word. Let me just take a look here very briefly.
Onslaught.
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 Onslaught. A very powerful attack. A violent and forceful attack. Onslaught. Ataque. Ataque violento. A fierce or destructive attack. Sup? What are you laughing? What's so funny? What's so funny that you're laughing? I'm talking to a person here at Twitch, just laughing at me here. What's so funny? Huh? Come on. Are you laughing at me? Am I a clown for you? Right? Onslaught. Ataque violento, meu. Few industries proved competitive. Mas poucas indústrias, poucas, se provaram competitivas. The Italian industry, which has pioneered the feature film. Então, feature film é provavelmente o tipo de filme que a gente conhece hoje, assim, né? Com essa duração. With lavish, spectacular, lavish, what's the meaning? Spectacular, let me take this all here. Lavish, espetaculares, luxuosos, what the hell, right? Lavish, luxuosos. Let me take a look here too, just to see this definition in English too. Large in quantity and expensive or impressive. Grande em quantidade e caro ou impressionante, impressive. Impressionante mesmo. Impressive. Yeah. Okay, that's nice. Oh yeah. Yeah. How do we pronounce that, right? How can we do that? Lavish, spectaculars, like cool varies. Okay, that's okay, but it's, here also collapsed. Almost collapsed. Quase colapsaram. In Scandinavia, the Swedish cinema had a brief period of glory. Brief, breve período de glória. Notably with the powerful sagas. Sagas or sagas? It sounds like saga, right?
Saga.
Saga.
Yeah, saga. Sagas so weird. Powerful sagas. Okay, that's bad. Poderosas sagas of Victor. What? Strong. Where are this guy from? He's Swedish. É sueco, né? Umas paradas estranhas na Suécia. And the brilliant comedies of Moritz Stiller antes de seguir, before following Denmark into relative obscurity. Então, obscuridade, uma relativa obscuridade. Even the French cinema, até mesmo aqui, né? Even, até mesmo o cinema francês, found itself, se encontrou. Found itself, se encontrou. Que encontrou a si mesmo, se encontrou. In a precarious situation, a precarious position. Precária, né? In Europe only apenas, German proved industrially resilient, resiliente, com força, que conseguiu se manter ali, fazendo os filminhos, né? While, enquanto, in the new Soviet Union and Japan, the development, o desenvolvimento of the cinema took place. Took place seria... Oh, man, não sei explicar, mas é tipo... took place, né? Pegou um lugar, tomou lugar. Vamos ver aqui. The cinema took place. Aconteceu. Então, se, por exemplo, onde isso vai acontecer? Where is this going to take place? Onde isso vai acontecer? Where is this going to take place? In condition of commercial isolation. Alright. Let's see here. Hollywood took the lead artistically as well as industrially. Indeed, the two aspects were inseparable. Hollywood films appealed because they had better constructed narratives. Their effects were more grandiose, and the star system added a new dimension to screen acting. Where Hollywood did not lead from its own resources, it bought up artists and technical innovations from Europe to ensure its continued dominance over present or future competition. It's just Ron, Stiller, and the letter. Oh, let me just, I'm not sure.
Latter.
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 Near or toward the end of something. Eles usam isso aqui para tipo dizer, por exemplo, eles dão duas opções, né? United States and Europe. Aí eles vão falar do United States, eles vão usar esse former. Isso a gente tem que ver em texto mesmo, né? Former seria o primeiro exemplo que eles deram.
Former.
Former.
E o latter, aqui, o latter,
Latter.
seria o segundo exemplo, o último exemplo. Então, building of the new library should begin in the latter part of next year. In the latter stages of the fight, he began to tire. Então, nos últimos estágios da luta. Então, tipo, tem uma ideia de último aqui, né? Então, and the latter's young protégé. Isso aqui é francês, meu amigo. Greta Garbo were lured away from Sweden. Ernst Blubistich, não, isso aqui não dá. And F.W. Murnau from Germany. Fox acquired many patents, including that of what was to become CinemaScope. Então, Hollywood took the lead, liderou, né? Tomou a liderança ali, artistically, as well as, assim como industrially. Indeed, de fato, the two aspects were inseparable. Os dois aspectos eram inseparáveis. Hollywood films appealed. Appealed é aquela coisa que tipo, dá um interesse, sabe? Tipo, se sente atraído por aquilo. Você vê aquilo e você quer ver mais, entendeu? Request to the public for money, no. Request, no. The quality in someone or something that makes him, her, or it attractive or interesting. Né? Causa um interesse, uma atração. Sex appeal, for example. Então aqui bota appeal. Recurso. The films, vamos dizer aqui, were appealing, eram atraentes.
The films were appealing.
Right? Então essa é meio que a ideia ali, essa é a ideia. Hollywood films appealed because they had better constructed narratives, as narrativas melhor construídas, né? Their effects were more grandiose, efeitos grandiosos, and the star system added a new dimension to screen acting, onde Hollywood did not lead, não liderou. From its own resources, pelos seus próprios, de seus próprios recursos. On, próprios resources, recursos, né? Suprimentos também. It bought up, comprou artists and technical innovations from Europe. Então comprou inovações técnicas da Europa. To ensure, garantir. To ensure its continued dominance over present or future competition. Over present or future competition. Vamos ver como é que aparece aqui. Sobre a competição presente ou futura. Que está em over meio que para mostrar que eles estão em cima, né? Estão dominando, né? Estão por cima, com o pé em cima dos outros. Tipo algo assim. Aqui, the letters young proteger. Isso aqui ficou meio difícil. Jovem protegido desde deste último. Aqui tipo, não sei. O último exemplo, talvez, está mostrando aqui, né? Letter com essa ideia de dos últimos, o último. Were lured away from Sweden. Oh, I don't know. Lured away. I don't know. Not sure. Let me see here. They were lured away. Atraídos para longe. They were lured to. Atraídos para a Suécia, atraídos para longe. Se away, essa ideia de que a galera vai vazando, né? Tipo assim, ó. Go away, get away. Sai fora, né? Tipo, vai para longe. Então esse away tem essa ideia de longe, né? De se distanciar, com essa ideia de ir se distanciando, né? Com esse movimento, a ideia do movimento de se distanciar. Então aqui, vamos ver só um negócio. To be lured away. To attract or entice someone or something away from someone, something, or some action. He thought he could lure my girlfriend away by showing up in his expensive car and flashing his money around. Meio que atrair para longe de outra pessoa, tipo, se meio que chamando assim, e a pessoa vai se distanciando de outro, né? Essa referência desse outra pessoa ali, daí você chama a outra ali, vem aqui, tem dinheiro e tal, pode chegar aqui. Você pode ter uma vida melhor comigo, que nem esse exemplo aqui, né? Então daí você tá atraindo a pessoa para longe da outra. Loucura, né? Foi isso que eles fizeram aqui os Estados Unidos, né? Hollywood. Eles pegaram alguns atores de outros países, atores que eles viam que eram bons, e no caso eles lured away aqui da Suécia, por exemplo, e outros países também que nem Germany. Então, Fox Movies, né? Fox Films lá, né? A gente conhece, né? Acquired many patents. Só ver aqui como é que é a pronúncia dessa palavra aqui. Patent. Vamos ver.
Patent. Patent. Patent.
Patent ou
Patent.
patent? No caso, tá fazendo sotaque britânico, então. Fox acquired many patents, including that of what was to become CinemaScope. Scope é tipo uma mira, né? Scope, mira do cinema, algo relacionado à mira. Scope. Não. The extent of an area or subject matter that something deals with or to which is relevant. Escopo é aquela área selecionada, né? De que você quer, por exemplo, atingir uma audiência selecionada, seria o seu scope, né? Porque aquela audiência que você está buscando, por exemplo, um dos exemplos. Including that. Become é que se tornar, né? Que se tornou. Was to become, que estava para se tornar. CinemaScope. The rest of the world survived partly by learning from Hollywood and partly because audiences continued to exist for a product which corresponded to needs which Hollywood could not supply, as well as a popular audience. there were also increasing audiences for movies, films, which were artistically more adventurous, or which engaged with issues in the outer world. Links were formed with the artistic avant-garde and with political groupings, particularly on the left. Aesthetic movements emerged, allied to tendencies in the other arts. Sometimes these were derivative. Let me copy this. But in the Soviet Union, the cinema was in the vanguard of artistic development, a fact which was widely recognized in the West. By the end of the silent period, the cinema had established itself not only as an industry but as the seventh art. Let me just check something. Oh my god, it's so much. I wish I could finish this, but it's so much, you know. Too much. I'm not able to do this. Where was I, by the way? Like here. Okay, I would search a word here. Derivative. I'm going to start. I'm going to read in American English once again. No, like this lazy kind of thing here.
Derivative.
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 Derivative. Essa é a pior palavra para começar com. Voltando aqui com sotaque americano, né?
Derivative.
If something is derivative, it is not the result of new ideas, but has been developed from or copies something else. Então, se deriva de alguma coisa, não é exatamente uma ideia original, right? Então, the rest of the world sobreviveu, parcialmente, by learning from Hollywood, and partly because audiences continue to exist for a product que correspondeu to needs which Hollywood could not supply. Que Hollywood não podia suprir, could not supply. As well as, assim como a popular audience, there were also increasing. Então, houveram, there were, also, também, increasing audiences, audiências crescentes, né, que vão aumentando mais e mais, né, for films which were artistically more adventurous, or which engaged, então, ou que se relacionavam, vamos ver aqui no Google, which engaged, no, not exactly. Engage é tipo essa conexão, assim, né? To employ someone. Que seria employ, seria contratar alguém, né? To have someone work or do a job for you and pay them for it. Tipo, né, chamar alguém e pagar por o serviço dessa pessoa. To interest someone in something and keep them thinking about it. Então, interessar alguém em alguma coisa e fazer com que eles continuem pensando nisso. Deixa eu só ouvir isso aqui.
Interest.
Mas como um verbo. Please. A verb, please. Sound
Interest.
the same.
Interest.
Interest. Mas aqui também é...
Interest.
Ambos são a mesma coisa. Ouvindo o substantivo e o verbo, porque às vezes eles têm sons diferentes. Por isso que tem que dar uma confirmada. Por exemplo, engagement. Vamos ver o que aparece quando a gente escreve engagement. Noivado. Você sente essa aliança, essa conexão, né? Do engage. Então, que né, criava essa conexão, né? With issues, com assuntos, in the outer world, mundo lá afora, no mundo afora. Vamos pegar isso tudo aqui só, né? Porque essa frase ficou um pouco difícil. Enfim. Que se desenvolveu com questões do mundo exterior. Beleza. Links were formed with the artistic avant-garde. Avant-garde seria a galera meio que pioneira, né? Galera que começa alguma coisa, né? Ou não, é só a galera das artes mesmo.
The avant-garde.
The avant-garde.
The painters, writers, musicians and other artists whose ideas, styles and methods are very original or modern in comparison to the period in which they lived, or the work of these artists. Methods that are very original, métodos originais e modernos em comparação com o período em que eles viviam. Então são tipo galera à frente do seu tempo, né? Avant seria antes em francês, né? Antes, eu acho. Let's just check this, please. Deixa eu ver só um negócio. French here. Vamos ver esse significado em French. Oops. Avant, before, antes. God. Vamos ver só God. Keep. Guarda de antes. Galera da frente, né? And with political groupings. Groupings, a gente bota no translate aqui. Agora confundi tudo o negócio também. Mudei, pronto. Groupings, agrupamentos. Imaginava algo assim, né? Particularly on the left. Particularmente na galera da esquerda, né? Aesthetic movements emerged. Apareceram. Emergiram. Emerge. Emergir, surgir, aparecer. Allied to tendencies. Aliados com tendências. In the other arts. Sometimes these were derivative, but in the Soviet Union, the cinema was in the vanguard of artistic development. Vanguard também tem essa ideia do a galera começando. The group of people who lead the development of new ideas or a leading position in the development of something. Então, começando, a galera que começa a entrar nessa cena, nessa nova cena, né? E criar ideias novas. A fact which was widely recognized in the West. Um fato que foi grandemente reconhecido, amplamente reconhecido, recognized in the West. By the end of the silent period, the cinema had established seria se fundamentado mais ou menos, ou meio que decidido algumas coisas. Vamos ver aqui. The cinema has established itself. Se estabeleceu. Aqui se eu mudei. Aqui é tinha se estabelecido. Aqui tá o had, tinha, né? Itself, not only, não apenas como, not only as, o as como, né? Not only as, não apenas como an industry, but as the seventh art. Okay, so I'm going to finish this recording here, right? Because I'm kind of tired now. I want to continue this in the afternoon, so I'm going to finish this video. Right, there are a lot of minutes already from this video, so I'm finishing here now. So keep watching my videos on YouTube, right? If you can, right? Like, so those big videos are kind of tiring to watch, but I believe in you. You can, and it's going to be good for you. See you in the next one. For the ones that are watching this video. Oh.